Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 17th audio file in the audiocast series known as the Q News Patriot. I am the Q News Patriot. My name is SGAnon. Glad to have you back. Glad to be with you tonight. I know that it has been a little while since we've been together. The last couple of days have been, or last few days have been absolutely riveting to watch. We are in a position as awakened digital soldiers to witness the birthing process of this new reality that we are moving into. The normies are missing the greatest show on earth. And so, that being said, we're going to kind of recap some of the events that have gone on. There's been simply so much. I mean, this audio file could be 2.5 to 3 hours long easily. It's not going to be, but the amount of content that we have to talk about now that is showing up in the real open source, semi-mainstream, call it pre-mainstream space is just simply overwhelming. And so please bear with me tonight. It's been an extremely long weekend. Lots going on with the family and lots going on with work, lots going on with research, and lots going on with other stuff. And so I am quite a little bit more than tired, but as long as you will bear with me, I will bear with it and we will go ahead and get through. And so we're going to talk just for a minute here about some of the events that have gone on. We're going to kind of work backwards from today and just discuss over the last few days. So this morning we awoke to an escalation in the Ukrainian conflict. I have been telling you now for a couple of weeks at least that we were going to see a dramatic escalation in the scale and encompassment of that particular conflict. I do not believe it is exaggerating, although this is just my opinion, but I do not believe it is exaggerating at all to say that Ukraine will completely cease to exist in its current form when this is all said and done. Everybody will be given the opportunity and options and choices to have the things that they and their countries and borders and nationality areas want to have. But a good part of that is going to be done through referendum after the fact, and similar to how things were done in Germany post World War II, I think we're going to have a temporary period where we establish control, maybe over and above the current local authorities, just to ensure that those areas are cleaned of the cabal of the Nazis and the Azovs and anybody involved in the pedophilia and the bioweapon laboratories, the child trafficking, etc. We do know that Russia has announced its intention to hold military tribunals for bioweapon research and development with individuals that they have captured within the borders of Ukraine. Those tribunals will be held in the Ukrainian city of Mariupol, which, when this is all over, will be a Russian city. So we awoke this morning to Russian missiles flying all through Ukraine. One of those missiles targeted what is believed to be the office of the Ukrainian president in central Kiev. Several of those missiles have targeted Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Keep in mind that the Ukrainian grid is very closely linked and intertwined with the grid in the kind of that central to central eastern central Europe area. You're going to feel some effects off of that. Nothing is ever truly separate right now in the system that we live in. We have kind of make-believe divisions that are created for us, but in reality, they've lived for a very long time. They, meaning the cabal, have lived for a very long time, controlling everything that happened on this rock. And so with that being said, just be advised that the things that happen in Ukraine are going to have reverberative wave-like effects that are going to go out. Putin is not at all finished. The Russian missile barrages and attacks today were a softening up of the target. We can expect far more intense action from Putin, even over and above what was done today. The Russians are not playing a game. The Russia has waited almost 1,000 years to rid the world of these awful, awful, awful people. I mean, you are talking individuals who pay homage to a Luciferian pagan god who demands child sacrifice, human cannibalism, and ritualistic torture and murder. I know that it sounds far-fetched. I know that it sounds halfway to insane. I know that it is difficult to hear. That being said, there is a sect of humanity that has gone along with this practice and paid homage to that particular way of life for many thousands of years. The Russian Tsar, right around the 10th and 11th centuries, almost was successful in ridding the world of this cabal. Unfortunately, the cabal, shortly after the Tsar and his coalition went in, they rebranded themselves as Ashkenazi Jews. They stole the lineage from a group of actual Jews and migrated into what is now Central and Eastern Europe. Previously would have been the Austro-Hungarian area for the last, certainly for the last 30 to 40 years, and I would contend much longer, back into the days of Prussia, the area known as kind of like Poland, Ukraine, that whole swath through Central and into Eastern Europe is their stomping ground. And so Russia has waited a very long time to do what they are doing. It is my understanding, just from observation of events, observation of rhetoric, observation of comms, which we're going to get into here in just a moment. It's my personal belief that the Russian invasion is about to get much more intense and is going to be, it's going to come as a shockwave. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and get into some of these comms tonight. I know that many of you have been wondering about the comms. Just for a moment, really fast, we're going to sidebar real quick, because some of these comms are going to be pretty deep tonight. With respect to my social media channels, I have two official channels that I am me at. I have the real SGAnon TruthSocial, and I have the Q News Patriot Rumble channel. I am not on Telegram, YouTube, BitChute, and I'm not on Rumble by any other name. I'm not on Telegram by any other name. I do not, however, and I hope each of you will hear me out, I do not have any issue with one of you or multiples of you out there taking the content that I share and sharing it under my name on a platform that I am not on. I do not own a copyright to most of the content that I share. It is primarily open source. The things that are not open source are not things that I wouldn't want you to share anyway. And so, as long as the content remains as I've observed, copied and pasted exactly, I have absolutely no issue with that. It helps spread the message. It helps, it helps us reach a bigger sect of the population and a swath of the normies that are maybe waking up for the first time. It also allows us to be communicable on all sorts of different platforms and avenues, as we know that everyone has their favorite, things that they're really good with, and so forth. And so just please be aware that officially I have only two social media outlets, but unofficially I have no issue with any of you all spreading the content, so long as you credit who it came from and maintain it in its integrity and unaltered. And so, with that being said, we're going to talk about a couple of really big things here. So we're going to talk about POTUS 45, some of the comms from TruthSocial today and from POTUS 45, and then we're going to talk about a comm that I caught from Melania Trump that came yesterday, and I actually caught it a little bit late, and I was able to research it earlier today. Very, very impressed with it, very excited about it. It's a two-way comm from Melania. POTUS 45 sends out comms all the time on TruthSocial, but POTUS 45 also uses TruthSocial to simply talk to us as people and talk to the normies as people. And so we can't construe every single thing that he or others are putting up as comms. That being said, I encourage all of you, if you have a moment or if you have time, to do examination, little deep dive examinations of ones that appear interesting or perhaps unusual or out of context in some way. And so one that I thought was very interesting came around today at 14:51 Eastern Date Time. It's a post called "Bring Back Columbus Day." I went and did a search on the drops for 14:51. I found some interesting things, but nothing that really stood out to me. I did not take the time to research the 2:51 timestamp. I encourage all of you out there to research that and see what you come up with. Generally, I'm looking for things when I'm breaking down these comms. I'm looking for things that are um, relevant or pertinent to the general public discourse or current events. And so I went over here, and instead of interpreting this comm through the Q board, sometimes we can go to the gematria calculators, and we find some very interesting things. So I went and typed in "Bring Back Columbus Day" into the gematria calculator. That calculator can be found at gematrix.org, GEMATRIX.org. In simple gematria, which is what we use for these comms, the numerical value of the phrase "Bring Back Columbus Day" comes to 203. If we come over to the gematria calculator for simple gematria matching 203, we find some fantastic things right off the bat. 203, "I love you so much." Right below that, 203, "October surprise." If we go down a little bit, "The Great Awakening reset," 203. "Freemasons exposed," 203. "London Bridge is down," 203. And my personal favorite one, "Donald Trump wins," 203. So I believe the Columbus Day comm today was a signal from POTUS that we have won, that we are going to have a very fun rest of the month of October. We're going to talk a little bit about that, and I think this is going to play into the Melania comm as well, this comm from President Trump here. And so that being said, let's come over here. I'm going to decode one more from President Trump, and then we're going to get into Melania's comm, and then we'll close out for the evening. Thank you all so much for staying with me and being patient. So today, posted on the president's TruthSocial at 5:24 Eastern Date Time, 17:24. Kelly Shabaka is doing very well in Alaska, probably leading horrendously bad Senator Lisa Murkowski, a Republican, open parentheses, barely, close parentheses. The Democrat has no chance, and yet the old broken crow, Mitchell McConnell, notice he didn't call him Mitch, he called him Mitchell McConnell, is authorizing $9 million to be spent in order to beat a great Republican, Kelly, instead of $9 million that could be used for Blake Masters and other Republicans that with this money would beat their Democrat opponent. Isn't it ironic? As I posted earlier today, this particular truth I believe to be just absolutely loaded with comms. And I'll share what I mean by that. We're going to go over here and look at the gematria first for Mitchell McConnell. because that's unusual. Mitchell McConnell in simple gematria comes to a numerical value of 173. Simple gematria for 173 didn't really return a whole lot of results that seemed extremely relevant. I found a couple that were very interesting, though. The first one at the very, very top, bank is tracking Biden. So we know that the economic collapse has been going on now for just over a month. We know that the financial system free fall has been going on now for just over a month. And so it is extremely interesting when you consider that in the Illuminati and Luciferian secret society hierarchy, bankers are near the very top of that pyramid structure until you get to the level of masters that they serve above them, the Phoenician families. And so a lot of times you have presidents, prime ministers, kings, and queens who are in the public eye, they're the heads of state, they're the wielders of power, but in the private secret society world, they're actually subservient to 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 levels of command above them. And so bank is tracking Biden seemed extremely interesting to me, and I thought that that was a fascinating angle. But I don't really see a big, I don't really see how that would pertain to some of our current events right now, except for the involvement of the Ukrainian slush fund society with the world banking system. And that slush fund society is being ripped apart and throttled at every angle in every possible fashion right now with President Putin. And so that could be a very could be a reference to financial events to come, which we know are coming. Another interesting reference on 173 for Mitchell McConnell is Third World War. We've talked a little bit about the scare event being necessary, and I do believe that something like a Third World War could be very scary. Let's come over here. So I found the gematria on Mitchell McConnell interesting, but here's where this gets absolutely fascinating. The gematria for the old broken crow, those are the words that are capitalized in the president's truth. So I put those in, that comes up to a simple gematria value of 155. I came down here to 155. And the very first result returned on that simple gematria is Kuong Trong. So I thought that looks like a name. Let's go see what that is. And I plugged that into a search engine I use called FreeSpoke. Kuong Trong, Kuongtrung. And sure enough, this is a person. This is a person that has this is just going to be very interesting. Kuong Trong returned a search result of a LinkedIn profile by the same name. This individual on the LinkedIn profile claims himself to be a senior contract specialist at Interpipeline Canada. Now, I'm going to read his bio just a little bit. Professional with a demonstrated ability to significantly reduce procurement costs by standardizing processes, negotiating favorable terms, and streamlining supplier channels. Technical skills include SAP, SRM, and Microsoft Office. And then he goes through and he builds his profile. He works for an agency called Interpipeline Canada. So I came over and did a search on Interpipeline Canada. Interpipeline on LinkedIn, on their LinkedIn profile, is headquartered in Calgary, Alberta, a major energy infrastructure business that has experienced tremendous growth over the past decade, chosen as one of Alberta's top employers for the 7th year in a row. Company size, 500 to 1,000, industry, oil and gas. I thought that's interesting. We have an energy crisis currently looming for the rest of the world and is already taking place in Europe. And so upon a little bit more homework, one of the things that we discover is that a group called Brookfield Partners, I believe, let me see here, Brookfield Infrastructure, I apologize, owns the company known as Interpipeline. Brookfield Infrastructure is a large energy conglomerate and a transnational company that is heavily involved with Enbridge and Shell corporations, and is, let me see here, and is partnered with a hedge fund known as the Blackstone Group. Folks, in my estimation, this comm from Donald Trump was about telling us a couple of different things. The financial system is in a collapse mode, and the people that run the financial system at the middle top to low-level executive area at a worldwide view are watching what is going on in the United States, because they know when the United States domino falls, the entire world will have to fall with it. I believe that Donald Trump is also telling us in this comm to pay attention to the energy sector, because remember, a significant amount of oil that comes into the United States of America comes from Canada, and a significant amount of oil that comes into Canada, or the raw material needed that comes into Canada and goes back and forth out of Canada, comes from across the pond in Europe. We are all interconnected. This idea of division is almost archaic and outdated. We are interdependent with one another, no matter where you're at or where you're listening from. If you're in a different nation, I mean, really, all that means is you have a sovereign culture and a national identity, but you still use electricity and the internet, and we still do business in a similar, or I shouldn't say same, but very similar fashion. We all have the same basic needs. All of us are of the same freedom mindset. This idea of division that they have created within mankind over the last at least 2,000 years, but I would contend as far back as 4,000 or 5,000 years, has been unbelievably successful, and it has never served us. And it is a farce. It is not true. We are one people, we are one humanity. And so I believe President 45 is telling all of us that the events currently going on in Europe are going to snowball into the North American sector. When that happens, the global systems that are dependent upon the infrastructure and foundations that are held in North America and the European areas are going to come down as well. And we're going to see a controlled implosion of the slave system that we've all lived under. And so I think this is fantastic and rejoiceful news. We're going to transition a little bit now, kind of off of these. Give me just a moment here. We're going to come over to Melania. Melania Trump doesn't post nearly as often as the commander-in-chief does. She is fairly active on social media, but not nearly as regular. Pardon me. But I found it exceedingly interesting that on Sunday, October the 9th, so 10/9 or 10 plus 9, meaning 19, at 3:03 Eastern Date Time, she posted on TruthSocial, "Christmas planning on a Sunday afternoon, USA memorabilia fostering the future, be the best." And she posted a picture of the clock that she had in the White House, and the clock is set at 1:29. And so I came over here to Q drop 1:29, and this comm was lightning fast. Q drop 1:29 posted on November the 9th of 2017. Closing act and the C and the I and the A are all highlighted in that line. Dismantled, impossible to clean. Operations point to no such agency. So this is a Q drop telling us that the CIA is, or will be, if it has not already been, I believe it has already been, but publicly it's going to be dismantled. And we're going to have an operation that is going to be headed up by operators, infrastructure, and support resources and personnel from the NSA. So that was the first part of the comm that I found to be absolutely fascinating. The second part was 303. The timestamp 303 on TruthSocial, I plugged in 303 into the drops. I came over to drop 303, posted December 8th of 2017, almost exactly a month later from the drop that we were just discussing, drop 129. And drop 303 has literally 2.5 words. It's a name. The name is Renee J. James. And I thought, I've never heard of that name before. And I consider myself fairly well informed. So let's go look that up. If you navigate to Wikipedia, you discover very quickly Renee J. James, born in Los Angeles County, California, founder, chairman, and CEO at Ampere Computing and operating executive at the Carlyle Group. She was formerly the president of Intel. Isn't that fascinating? So I came over here. I got on the IMDb. Renee James, currently the chairman and CEO of Ampere Computing, a company she founded in 2017 that produces high-performance semiconductors for hyperscale cloud storage and edge computing. She's an operating executive for the Carlyle Group. In 2016, she concluded a 28-year career with Intel Corporation, where she most recently served as president, and she was chair of the National Security Telecom Advisory Committee to the President of the United States for the 44th president. That would be the traitorous president, Hussein Obama. She is also a director in Citigroup, Sabre Corporation, and Vodafone. So, this lady sounds connected to all of the wrong people, right? Come over here. Found an article on Forbes referring to Renee J. James. In July 2015, she stepped down as part of Intel's executive team as the chip maker continues to find its footing in the post-PC era. While she was at Intel, she led the company's strategic expansion into proprietary and open source software and services for applications in security, cloud-based computing, and smartphones. This is the lady who oversaw the development of the technology that the Obama administration used to spy on every single activity you ever did. That is why she is in the Q drops. This lady is connected to all of the wrong and right people. So she's also part of an organization called Oracle Corp. Oracle Corporation is a large, go here and give you the exact definition. I was going to give you my summary, but I'll just give you the exact thing as stated by them. A multinational computer technology corporation headquartered in Austin, Texas. In 2020, Oracle was the third largest software company in the world. The company sells database software and technology, cloud systems, and enterprise software products, and supply chain management software. Now think about this. The lady who oversaw the development of the technology that was placed into your smartphone so that you could be tracked and monitored 24 hours a day against your will and without your knowledge is also a director in the company called Oracle Corporation that sells database software and technology, cloud engineering systems, computer technology, and microchips, enterprise software, and supply chain management software. Let me go through. We're going to get just a little bit deeper here. Here's what else Oracle owns. This is a list of Oracle's acquisitions. Workforce management through Ad Insights, Veridian NetSuite, Health Information Technology through Cerner, Gloria Foods, leading cloud-native online food ordering, CrowdTwist, cloud-native customer loyalty, DataFox, artificial intelligence solutions, Gobalto, health services automation, Irides, which is an enterprise cloud platform for employee training, Vocado, a student information system, GrapeShot, a contextual intelligence control brand, Sparkline Data Company, which is platform analytics, Aconance, which is SaaS-based construction project management, Moat, which is digital advertising. Keeps going through here, the industries that they're involved in: cloud-based warehouse management applications, cloud-based customer engagement, cross-device identification mapping from a group called Crosswise, a media web tracking technology company from Vienna, Virginia in the USA. They bought Stack Engine, which is software for managing applications built out on open source platforms. They've bought Datalogics, which is a data broker and digital marketing company. Let me see here. What else do they own? Integrated software and hardware solutions company for the hospitality and retail industries. That's a company called Micros Systems. Nirvanix, cloud-based storage solutions, cloud-based content marketing. Are you noticing a pattern? And I'm not even halfway through this list. This organization owns everything about you, whether you gave it to them or not, and whether you know it or not. And that was helped along by this lady named Renee J. James from Intel Drop Q Drop 303. And so when I'm looking at this broad spectrum, I'm looking at the comms coming from FLOTUS and coming from the commander-in-chief. I'm seeing converging forces and overlapping of different wartime theaters. From Melania, I am seeing deep intel references, agencies with connections that go all the way to the top or bottom, depending on how you want to phrase it. I'm also seeing her pointing us in a direction of researching the spying that some of those agencies have been doing. It is my suspicion that as we go through this process of discovery and declass with the FBI and the DOJ, the cross-agency spying is going to become a front and center issue and is going to lead to a great many people turning on one another and ending up with capital punishment. I believe that 45 simultaneously is telling us to continue watching the energy infrastructure, both in North America and in Europe, and to pay very close attention to Putin. I believe that we can extrapolate as Anons that if we are being told by one of the members of the Alliance Command to pay attention to a specific one, we should also look at the others. And so I would admonish each of you, if it's available to you, to go ahead and continue researching into the attempted coup with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Comms went very quiet in regards to China about 8 to 10 days ago, right around the time that the attempted coup took place. As I've told all of you out there, there is still an internal power struggle going on in China. But what is occurring is the Chinese Q Patriots are cleaning the top of the Chinese armed forces command structure as we speak, in preparation for the next phase. And so with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there from all around the world, thank you so much for being patient with me. I know that it's been, a good little cast here, and there's still so much more we could have talked about with the Trump rally and the German consulate being struck by the Russian missile and how that could very well play into German involvement in the war. I'm going to go ahead and let each of you know out there that the energy and financial crises which we are expecting are going to overlap and sort of dovetail with one another. And so it's going to seem like a 1-2 punch. Other events that may be coming could add to that punch for everyone. Just be aware that Patriots are in control, and we're going to be through it together. I have been told by the individual that I trust very much and consider my go-to for current events that new information, truly organic new information, is not going to flow for at least the next 5, 6, 8 days, somewhere in that arena. I'm never given these exact time frames, but I was told that that faucet will be turned off for a short time. And so I will be back with you again, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 days. We'll do a breakdown and talk about some current events. I implore all of you to follow these individuals on TruthSocial, or if you have Twitter, you're welcome to try and follow those that are still left on Twitter. We are living through the greatest war that has ever been fought, and we are winning. And that is one of the nicest things to reflect on as we move through this process of awakening. And those of us that have been given sight or are just now coming into our newly awakened eyes are being presented with a production, a real life production that we're all living, which will encourage us not only to learn the lessons of today's generations and failures that we've maybe not noticed along the way, but is also going to help us teach future generations and our posterity how to safeguard this great world that we all are a part of. And so with that, everyone, this is SGAnon. It's been a wonderful time with you this evening, and I will be back with you again soon. Stay safe out there. Be of good cheer, be of good courage. Love wins this, and so do we. And I will speak with you again soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.